everyone. Welcome to Live Well, Be Well, an Ames Wellness podcast. I'm Kacie Schumann, Health Promotion Coordinator.
And I'm Bailey Dingfield, Health Promotion Intern.
And we are here to take a practical look at various well-being topics that affect people's everyday lives. And today that topic is sleep. Everybody sleeps, believe it or not. And sleep is really crucial to your overall well-being and can really bleed into different areas of your life if you're not getting good sleep. Bailey, do you feel like you're a good sleeper?
I feel like generally I am. Usually I try and keep a pretty strict sleeping schedule, what I'm doing leading up to sleeping, and roughly the same hours every night, I'd say.
What's your sleep schedule?
Well, usually I try and, like I said, keep the same routine. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing the same things, putting on my pajamas, brushing my teeth, washing my face, and then reading a book or something to wind down, which I found really helpful. But I try and get between 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night, and usually that's 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. roughly, somewhere in there.
Nice. Yeah. That's pretty good considering you're a college student.
Yes. So I highly value my sleep. So it's great though.
I feel like I'm also a pretty decent sleeper, but I did not used to be. When I was in college, I had a ton of trouble sleeping, and it was not necessarily because of my habits or anything. It was more being around other people, roommates, and, the noisiness of college in general. Oh my gosh, I could not sleep, and it sucked during college because you're going to classes, you're taking tests, your brain needs to be firing, and oh man, I was just struggling. But I feel like as I've gotten older, sleep has gotten easier. I also have a routine. I'm a night showerer, so I take a shower, I put on my pajamas, I brush my teeth, and then I go lay in bed and I do what everyone does, but you're not supposed to do. I look at my phone.
Yep.
I will say though, I do have a blue light filter put on my phone, and I think that helps. So enough about our own experiences. Let's talk about what sleep actually does. What are the functions of sleep? So energy conservation and storage. So the cells in your body kind of resupply, stock up energy for the next day. Repair and recovery happens in your body. When you're not moving, when you're just laying there, it makes it easier for your body to heal injuries, repair tissues, things like that. And that's also why when you're sick, you feel more tired and you need more rest because your body is fixing the problem. And this repair and recovery stage typically happens during non-REM sleep. REM means rapid eye movement. Or during the deep sleep stage. And this stage is essential for feeling well rested in the morning. If you don't ever get to this stage at night, you'll wake up and you'll feel terrible. You'll feel really tired. And then finally, another function of sleep is brain maintenance. The brain reorganizes and catalogs memories and learned information. And your brain is most active during that REM or rapid eye movement sleep phase. That's when dreaming occurs. And I'm really excited to share the research that I found a little later in this episode. I found some interesting research on dreaming. Unfortunately, though, according to the National Sleep Foundation, more than 1/3 of adults aren't getting the amount of sleep they need and feel sleepy during the day at least half the week or more. Bailey, can you talk a little bit about how many hours of sleep each age group needs?
Yeah, so it's not universal for everyone. Some people need more sleep, some need less sleep, but typically adults should be getting from 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. And then teenagers, younger children, infants, all are going to need more sleep than adults. So for specific age groups, the 0 to 3 month age, they need about 14 to 17 hours of sleep, which is a lot. And that's why babies are sleeping so much. And then 4 to 12 months is 12 to 16 hours, and that's including naps. 1 to 2 years, they're going to need 11 to 14 hours, including naps again. 3 to 5 years is 10 to 13 hours with naps. And then 6 to 12 years old, you're going to need 9 to 12 hours of sleep. 13 to 17 years old is 8 to 10 hours, which I feel like a lot of teenagers don't know that they actually need more sleep than adults do. And then your 18 plus is going to be that 7 to 9 hours.
Yeah, gosh, I remember when I was a teenager in high school, you're so busy with activities and stuff. You might not get home from your basketball game or whatever until like 10:30 p.m. And then guess what? You have homework after that.
Yeah, I did not get good sleep in high school.
Me neither. When you're actually able to hit those recommended hours for your age range, and when it's quality sleep too, you get tons of health benefits. So some of those health benefits include getting sick less often, maintaining a healthy weight, reducing stress, improving your mood, improving your heart health and metabolism, lowering your risk of chronic conditions, lowering your risk of motor vehicle crashes, and improving your attention and memory.
Yeah, all really great things. But on the flip side, lack of sleep or lack of quality of sleep have negative side effects that can come along with it. So that's things like slowed reflexes, trouble thinking or concentrating, mood effects, headaches, decreased immune system effectiveness, metabolism problems, fatigue and exhaustion, higher risk of chronic diseases, which can contribute to conditions like dementia, diabetes, and heart disease. So not good things.
Yeah, and according to Johns Hopkins Medicine, some people are at higher risk for having either lack of sleep or poorer quality sleep. And so some of those people include those who have higher stress levels or live with chronic pain, people who are shift workers or overnight workers, older adults, simply just having a larger neck, and this will come into play when we talk about sleep apnea here in a second, and those with chronic health conditions such as sleep apnea, heart disease, obesity, diabetes, and others.
Yeah, so like Kacie said, let's take a couple minutes here to talk about sleep apnea specifically. So sleep apnea can be defined as brief interruptions in breathing throughout your sleep during the night. It may happen up to 20 to 30 times every hour. And what happens is oxygen levels in the blood fall and the brain jolts you out of sleep so that you can take a breath. So it's like someone is shaking you awake every few minutes so you don't get that deep, restful sleep, which is really important when sleep quality matters so much. And then the consequences of sleep apnea are irregular heartbeat, high blood pressure, higher risk for heart attack or stroke, a higher risk for diabetes, higher risk for premature death, up to 46% for that, and increased risk of daytime sleepiness, which can lead to accidents.
So what are some signs of sleep apnea that people should be watching out for?
Yeah, some symptoms of that are loud and frequent snoring, pretty much just more than like a normal amount. Also, waking up abruptly, choking or gasping for air, pauses in breathing, frequently waking up, tossing and turning as well, and then excessive daytime sleepiness, morning headaches, which can be caused by the lower oxygen levels that you're getting, cognitive issues like brain fog, also mood changes, and a dry mouth or sore throat.
Do you snore?
I don't think so. I've never had anyone tell me, but do you?
Not unless I'm sick.
Yeah,
if I have, plugged sinuses, then I will. But,
Yep.
But I do occasionally talk a little bit, nothing that makes sense, just kind of like gibberish.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Anyway, if you're seeing any of these signs in yourself or others, the sleep apnea ones, not the talking in your sleep ones, definitely make sure to get checked out by a medical professional. They might want to do a sleep study on you. And there's actually a sleep lab right here in Ames at Mary Greeley if you're nearby.
So let's move on to some research that Kacie and I found. The article that I found talks about the dynamics of recovery sleep from chronic sleep restriction, which was found in the Journal of Sleep Research Society. So they found that sleep loss and sleep debt is super common. Sleep debt is pretty much the difference between the amount of sleep you actually need and the amount of sleep you get. And it can accumulate over time and increase the negative side effects. Some important things that they found is that recovery is not immediate. So 1 to 2 nights of catch-up sleep does not fully restore the body or brain, and recovery from chronic sleep loss is a gradual process and incomplete after just short recovery periods. They also found that sleep rebounds selectively, which means that the body prioritizes certain types of sleep during recovery. One type is slow wave sleep, which is deep sleep, and it increases first, primarily when the body is trying to recover, which is important for physical restoration. And then other aspects of sleep and functioning can recover more slowly when you do have that sleep debt. Performance also lags behind sleep. So even when sleep duration returns to normal, you could still have cognitive impacts from that. Impacts to your alertness and reaction time can also be impaired. And this suggests that there's a disconnect between feeling recovered and actually being recovered. Like we said, sleep debt accumulates over time, and so repeated nights of insufficient sleep build to a cumulative sleep debt. And the larger the sleep debt, the longer and more complex the recovery process is going to be. Individual differences also matter in this, and some people will vary on how they respond to sleep loss and how quick they recover. Some individuals may appear resilient, but still show hidden performance deficits. So some of the implications from this study are that catching up on sleep over a weekend is not enough to fully reverse weekday sleep loss. Chronic sleep restriction can lead to long-lasting cognitive and physiological side effects, so it's important that we're getting enough sleep. And a consistent, adequate sleep is way more effective than relying on recovery sleep after you've gotten sleep debt. So it's just important that you're sleeping a nice, good amount of quality sleep every night.
This is, it's good information to know, but it's also like a little bit disappointing. I'm not going to lie that we can't just take a weekend to recuperate.
Yes, I know.
But it's still good information to know that we should all be, being consistent with our sleep patterns, even when we don't want to be. So I mentioned earlier that I found some research on dreams, and so I'm really excited to share this. This research was just published about a month ago, so it's pretty recent. And the title was "Vivid Dreams May Be the Secret to Deeper, More Restful Sleep." Yeah. So, I mentioned earlier, dreaming often occurs during REM sleep, but you can also dream during non-REM sleep. Brain activity during REM sleep actually most resembles wakefulness, but people report it feels more like deep sleep, even though it's not technically deep sleep. So in this study, researchers looked at 196 overnight recordings from 44 healthy adults in a sleep lab. Their brain activity was monitored with an EEG, and participants were woken up during their sleep studies and were asked to report what they were experiencing just before waking. So this sounds like a super annoying study to be a participant in, getting woken up constantly. But people reported feeling like they were sleeping really deeply when they had just been woken up from a vivid, immersive dream. And the more rich and complex and crazy the dream, the more deeply they felt like they had been sleeping. This is really interesting because previously it was thought that only dreamless sleep was the most deep restorative sleep. But it sounds like you can have really deep restorative sleep in other stages of sleep as well. And so how exactly does this work? They're not 100% sure, but it seems like the more immersive the dream is, it feels like you're more separated from your external environment, which is a key feature of restorative sleep, even as parts of the brain remain active.
Huh. Yeah, that's super interesting. I would have thought that it would have been more the deep sleep and not when you're dreaming, that would be more restorative.
Right. Yeah. Because when you're dreaming, your brain is firing like crazy. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any crazy dreams?
I dream sometimes. I feel like I haven't had any super vivid dreams like some people I know have super vivid dreams, but I've definitely had some wacky, weird dreams in my day. Yeah. So I don't know. What about you?
I haven't had any weird ones recently, but I think it was my senior year of college maybe, or maybe after that, I had this dream, and I think everyone has this dream if you've been to college. I had this dream that all of a sudden it was finals week and there was a class that I hadn't gone to the entire semester. I just forgot about it. And then it was finals week and I was like, crap, I got to learn everything in 1 week.
Yep. Classic.
Yeah. I've told my parents about that and they're like, oh yeah, we've had that dream before.
I'm sure I've had something like that.
So let's close out with some tips on how to get better sleep.
Yeah, so a few quick tips for you guys here. First one is to set and keep a sleep schedule. So like we were talking about in the beginning, you want to be going to bed and waking up around the same time every day, and that includes weekends. And I know that can be really hard to do. And I like to sleep in more and go to bed later on the weekends as well. But it just helps to have a consistent sleep schedule. You're going to be able to fall asleep easier. Second one is to make time for sleep. So choose a bedtime that allows you to get the recommended amount of sleep. So those 7 to 9 hours is a sweet spot. Third one, have a bedtime routine. So go through specific actions that train your brain to realize that sleep is coming. So like for us, when we're showering, brushing our teeth, getting ready for bed, and then laying in bed and doing something restful, it triggers our brains to know that like sleep is coming and we need to get ready for that. Fourth one here is don't go to bed unless you feel sleepy. So do things to wind down and relax, and make sure you're using your bed only for sleeping. Yeah, so I know sometimes I like to do homework in bed or do other things, but that can be really confusing for the brain when it's associating things in your bed that aren't just sleep. Another one here is avoiding bright lights or electronics. This can disrupt the body's natural sleep-wake functions. So like Kacie was saying, there's a light that you can change on your phone, so the blue light isn't as intense, and that can help the body wind down as well. Last one, avoid drinking alcohol or eating a meal too close to bedtime. A light snack is fine, but alcohol and food can disrupt your sleep.
Yeah, I'm an offender of several of these things.
Me too.
And I think that just goes to show that, everybody is individual, and so you'll find what works for you and what doesn't.
Right.
So that's all we have for today. Thanks for listening. If you have a topic that you're hoping to hear more about, feel free to reach out to us on the city's social media, or you can send me an email. My email will be in the show notes.
See you next time.
Take care of yourself and each other.
Live Well, Be Well is a City of Ames podcast.